Hello, welcome to another installation of TechTalk. It is Friday again. So happy to be back. We've got some exciting stuff all happening today, so why don't we hit it up with you, Mike?
Well, guys, just rereading the memo there. We're talking protection, not COVID protection or mouth protection and things like that. I think we all need to read the memo again. We're actually talking about floor protection, which is something we get asked about quite a bit. No, don't worry about the class sector. You're all good.
Okay.
And we're talking floor protection. What stages we look at doing protecting the floor and that sort of thing there. What stages, if there's products that can be used, just the good, bad and the ugly when it comes to trying to protect that floor and looking after it. So yeah, be interested to hear your thoughts, guys.
Okay, cool. So I don't need water. So this isn't wall protection we're talking about? We're talking about floor protection.
Just not this time, mate. Not this time. Hang on for next time.
Okay, good. Great.
Yeah, you should be okay in that building without a hard hat too.
Yeah, maybe.
No, that's a good one, Mike. This is something that we get asked on a regular basis, and it comes down to so many different factors. One of the biggest factors that I think has to be taken into consideration is compatibility. And that comes from, there's different ways of protecting floors, whether that be the way that the project is staged, whether it's the actual method that you're using for installing a floor that happens to protect the floor during, throughout a process, or if it's something else that's brought to the finished product. And by that I mean a type of floor covering system. And I've said it once and I'll say it again, when it comes to choosing a floor covering system, you need to understand the own product that you've just installed or created, because there's nothing worse than covering up a freshly sealed piece of concrete floor or polished concrete floor, and it's very fresh and it still needs to breathe, and then it gets covered up with something. But the salesman said to me that this product can still, allows the floor to breathe still. And like I say all the time, you can breathe through a pillow as well, but it doesn't work out well for everyone all the time.
Yeah.
It really comes down to
you should not be trying that at home either.
No, not more than once anyway.
We could do a segue of pillow talk if you like. Sorry, Josh. Sorry, go.
That's okay. I was going to hand over to you anyway, Kurt. So we're talking about the stages that were involved and the methods that we use, and I guess foreign protection systems. And what's the best mixture? It's not going to be the same for every project.
That's totally right. Josh, let's talk about two different types of protection right now at two different stages. Okay. So if we're looking at protection, say we're operating and we're running a two-stage project, which is commonly used in a lot of the residential builds, where we're coming in before frame and we're doing the first cut, the second cut and grouting. At that stage then, predominantly what Rock-Up Group does, and a lot of great contractors around Australia are doing, is they're leaving that floor already grouting at the grout stage, and they're giving it a good flood coat of densifier. Now, that is how the floor is being left at that stage. Now, if we want to break that down and look into it a bit more, it really comes down to the sales process as well. So if you've signed up with a new builder or developer or a customer, whoever that may be, one of the things I think is really clear on getting across is that we have started your floor, we have started this project, and these are some of the things that may cause problems coming back, or these are some of the things to take care of through the polishing stage. Now, it's not really too much to ask, and it can be simple as just a little sign on a laminated piece of paper nailed to the frame of the wall, just saying, keep tuna cans off, keep compressors off that are leaking oil, sweep up your floor at the end of the job if you've got a lot of nails on the ground that might leave a rusty residue. Basically taking pride in the project that's already taken place. So I think it's a sales thing at that stage to communicate with everyone. So that's really important. And not only, so knowing that and putting all that into place, knowing what your process and your procedure is on returning, once the roof is on, windows are on, obviously frames are up, sometimes plaster's up before paint.
Sometimes
at this process we
paint, is it?
I mean, you know what I mean?
If you're
the
lucky.
plaster is
Wow.
the plaster is up before painting. You know what I mean? So look, we know that we're going to come back and put a metal back on that floor anyway to regrout. So it's a really comforting thing, knowing that you're going to be creating that new profile and putting that diamond on there to be able to clean up some of the mess that has been put there. But once again, in that scenario, it's more about, you know, protecting your project and having a communication area with everyone who's involved. That's number one. Number two, I think, Josh, you hit it pretty well on the head there with breathable products that are getting put on the floor after polish. I know rule of thumb is that we always ask for at least 72 hours, you know, 2 to 3 days to let the floor breathe. You know, if we're using a solvent-based sealer, we want those gases to be able to release, come up out of the floor. Obviously, in different parts of Australia, we've got different climates, so everywhere's going to react differently. But the main thing is that if we've just finished a project using, you know, the Works products and the Defence sealer there, if we're going to cover that up straight away, we're not giving it a chance for that floor to breathe at all. And what happens in that process is throughout that whole build now for the next 3 months, we've essentially locked moisture that's trying to escape in between a barrier that can breathe, whatever that pillow method is, and that can cause some pretty funky stuff going on underneath that protection and the floor. And then we get that beautiful thing when we peel it off and it's all broken down. So not great, but it's a really big communication thing, I reckon, with all parties involved. That's my opinion.
With the first method, I know you said you'd get it up to grouting stage. What I imagine some contractors will be asking, why aren't we just finishing at the 50 metal since we're re-grouting anyway?
Look, by obviously with the 50 metal, the floor is still quite open, yeah? So it's still quite an open, you know, profiled floor. So it is going to absorb a lot of things a lot easier than what it would if the floor had been refined and tight enough. You know what I mean? So with a 120, 160 combo diamond, like, that's really closing up the floor and making it quite tight. And with densifier on top, it is a somewhat form of protection itself. So I know I'd feel more comfortable leaving a floor that's tightened than porous. It's just that little bit of insurance.
Absolutely. Mechanical protection. I like it.
Exactly.
And I have heard some people, and I've heard it suggested by some people at Works Plus as well, that even coming back and then just doing a very, very light grout again to start the process back up again. Is that something you'd suggest? Always rule of thumb on these 2-stage projects is that re-grouting. Now, it's not as a heavy grout and a heavy saturation like the first one. We're simply there just to reprofile the floor again and to fill up some of those porous holes that may have come out throughout the build project. And we're essentially just starting again. But the beauty of that is that when we start looking at edges and stuff like that, we're really starting with edging our, grouting with our edging tool. We're not taking any more material away. We're not trying to, run up a hallway with high and low spots because we haven't, flattened it out properly. So it really does have its benefits. And I think a lot of guys get a bit concerned.
I'm just going to put my talking hat on. So coming back to protection. So what are the do's and what are the don't do's so much, Josh? Coming back to basically the build and all the different anomalies and all the different, where windows aren't in and it's raining in, moisture's coming in, I just, for example, I've been to Perth all of last week. Protection is taken to a completely new level over there based on the different color sands and all the impurities in the concrete and stuff, what's getting washed throughout the build into the slab. And they're having to trying to protect that floor because obviously everything what's going to get handed over in the end, it's going to be locked in that floor. So coming back to protection, what are the do's and the don't do's?
Okay. I guess the real do's is do research. Every project is going to be different. It's not like every build is the same. Every time the phone rings, it's not a new house coming out of the ground, and you're going to be starting on day 3, and you'll get to come back on whichever day that you want. So one is going to be researching. You're making your own product on site. You really need to know how every component of that product actually works. So compatibility is everything. Staging and collaboration. So understanding how you'll need to stage the process in order to best protect the actual finished product. Okay, because some projects you'll be getting in, it's a refurb, and you're going to be working with other trades at the same time. And Kurt mentioned before the having the signs on the wall not to put tuna on the floor. So that pretty much says that you're going to have to collaborate with plasterers, because they're the guys who are eating the tuna on those particular projects. It's going to mean collaborating with other trades who don't understand, what the sensitivities are of the product that we're making. So leaving signage on site will make a big difference, provided there's, we've got a high level of literacy on site too. So then, of course, there's going to be the communication with the builder, because the builder also wants to deliver a great product for their client. So it's in their best interest to have all of the do's and don'ts. Obviously, on a fresh slab, particularly if it is going to be a surface polish, stacking of materials is an absolute don't, unless you're stacking it in a room that's not going to be polished. So understanding all of those types of things, and as Kurt touched on before, the last thing that you want to do is cover a floor inside of 72 hours of it being finished. That's going to cause damage, possibly, depending on what system you're installing. And that's where researching your products, understanding how they all work together, compatibility, and then understanding all the sensitivity in order to be able to say this is the protection system, or this is the staging system for protection that we're going to offer for this client, for this build in this environment.
Kurt, we've spoken about contracts and things in the past. Is any of this sort of stuff written into a contract?
100%, mate. I mean, like I said before, the communication with all parties that are involved in a project is key, and signing off on that agreement is key. You know what I mean? Like this, we're installing a boutique product sometimes in some of these people's homes. That why should they treat it any different than marble or timber or anything like that? It's just educating them and just letting them know what our process is, and we shouldn't be panicking, or we shouldn't be so unsure about what it is that we're delivering that we have to start throwing variables at the floor at other times. I can't wait to get to Perth and see what's going up there, Dan.
It's next level. Those boys that go out of their way to protect their floors,
yeah. So
next level.
And see, I love that type of stuff. I like to get into the nitty gritty about it and how actually far they're taking their floor, or what they are protecting it with, and have they tried side by side samples, or did they just have a bad experience on one job? So now that is the norm. So I question that a lot sometimes in contractors, that it's a big thing. When you have a job that goes a little bit sideways, it doesn't necessarily mean that's the way the projects are going to keep running time and time again. We are manufacturing our own product on site, and we have to adapt to the variables, yes, but it's definitely not something that we should just start introducing time and time again to safeguard it, which might give us a different outcome.
Yeah, just further on the contracts, I mean, not just having a contract, but essentially a handover document. Once you've delivered that product that you can be proud of and the client's going to love, it'd be great to have a document that you can hand over to the builder to make sure that by the end of the build, that's the floor that they're going to see once they do lift up the protection, let's say.
Yeah, and we can even go down to the nitty gritty with tape. I mean, I know there's a bunch of guys out there that have had a tape problem before, where the builder's gone, above and beyond to protect the floor, and these tapes, all around the edges, the ram board or the protector floor, all the way around, and the glues on that and all that jazz actually do damage to the polished concrete. You know what I mean? But is there a communication thing that's slipped there? Probably. Have we given a good guideline about how to put protection down? That all comes down to the sales project. The sales process. Sorry. It's really key. Within Rock Up Group, we have a service agreement. It's an agreement between all parties that this is how the project's going to run. This is what's going to happen when it finishes, and this is how you're going to maintain your beautiful floor. You know what I mean? And I just think that's a really good sales tool for guys getting out there and being on top of their business model.
Coming back down to protection, it's protecting your bottom line as well. Like coming back to some of the guys in WA, the interesting thing is they just simply implementing another process into their system, which takes a little bit of money out of their pocket, because they're having to now remove that product they're installing with another tool, to then having to battle to remove that. So it's this unopened can of worms, Look, there's one thing that I just picked up in what you said then, Dan, is battle. The word battle. I love that. That's the perfect word. There's so much room to move around and help guys with their process and what's going on, because we should not be going to work every day to battle it out.
And protecting that bottom line. You know?
Yeah.
Battling and protecting the bottom line. Two big key points there.
I say this to those guys, wherever they may be, if they're using some kind of solution like that, do a side by side on the next project. Leave a square section out if you can, in a room, in a cabinetry. Run through a normal process. Run through the process you're doing and start seeing if you're seeing major results. Awesome area to talk about. But if you're not seeing a difference in going through all that extra work, we might be running down a rabbit hole where we don't need to.
Oh, I think on the other hand, what you got to see is like the builder's got some responsibility as well. You can't always put
100%.
everything onto the concrete polisher.
Absolutely.
Because they're having to deliver the floor what's been handed over to them, and they're working with that. So why does the concrete polisher need to take that up onto himself to protect his end product? It needs to be. It's
an agreement between all parties. Like I said before, why are you rocking up to a project? It's not just you going to do your work. You know what I mean? Collectively, as the builder, as the concrete polisher, you still all need to be talking. Do you know what I mean? Like it's communication. A lot of these things can be ironed out by discussing what it is that you're coming to site to do. And if he's unclear on what you do, then have a coffee and have a chat about your process and
Just
why
don't
it is that we
put
do
on
this.
that unfinished floor.
I was going to say, put some protection down if you're going to have a coffee on it.
Yeah.
We all have everybody on that site has a common goal, and everyone works together to deliver that.
That was a good one, guys. I hope there was a bit of intel out of that one.
So yeah, we got a New South Wales seminar next week. Dan and I, Kurt, will all be there, showing how it's done.
I'm smuggling over the border. I'm gonna get I'm gonna get in a shipping tag. I'm gonna get a shipping container in the next 10 minutes.
And we have two firsts. First seminar in New South Wales, and another first in the United States. You know, they're running another seminar in the US. So exciting times.
The times.
Hey, maybe we can compare gloss. Maybe we can compare gloss at the end. See who does it better.
We'll put protection on our floors and see who does it better. How about that?
Or stone exposure.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Go throwing out a challenge.
Ooh.
Back in
all right,
borders.
it's time to fly.
Thanks,
Cheers,
everyone.
guys.
Did
Hey,
Daniel and Milan leave?
I think they-
Just getting a phone call.
Yeah.
All right.
All right,
More
boys.
phone calls.
all right, guys.
Cheerio.
See you guys.
Cheerio.
Have a great
See you
weekend.
guys.
Thank you.
Au revoir.